Hey guys, welcome back to Heroes of the Storm. Today I want to talk about a few specific heroes, a few heroes which I think do not fit the role exactly which they have been given, and the mindset you should have, in my opinion, when playing as these, or even sometimes against, but particularly as these heroes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a few heroes here, one at a time, and go over, or rather a group at a time, and go over how I feel they are labelled and how I feel they should be played to play them to the best of to maximise their potential, so to speak. So the first ones I want to go over are the supports. Now these are going to be very obvious to quite a lot of you, particularly those of you who have played the supports who I'm about to mention, but regardless, I feel it needs to be said anyway. So Tassadar, Tyrande, and I'm going to put Karazim in this group as well. They are aggressive supports. They deal a lot of damage, and the healing they put out is not as much as, say, a Malfurion, an Uther, or a Rhaegar. They just don't have that much damage compared. But what they do have is a lot more CC in some cases, and just a lot more damage in general. So, if you look at Tassadar or Tyrande, their skills and their skill sets and their abilities are very, very similar. If you look, both Q is a heal or a defensive ability. They both have a vision ability, and they both have an AoE ability. Now, Tyrande's is a lot more difficult to hit and is a lot more about securing kills, whereas Tassadar's is more about dealing damage to as many people as possible. As a result, Tyrande is the more aggressive of the two, in my opinion. I'm going to go on to Karazim in a second, but just talking about Tyrande and Tassadar for now. Tyrande, you really need to play her with the mindset of, I can heal, but I'm also a damage dealer. So you're kind of I'm going to secure this kill, I'm going to stun this person from a long way away, I'm going to find where they are, I'm going to make them take a lot more damage with the Hunter's Mark and just the auto attacks and stuff she can deal. But I can also do a heal. I can also, and as the game gets on, do a surprisingly big heal. And you got to remember, once she gets her ult, she has slow and damage and all kinds of stuff. So she is a much more aggressive support. And to play her to the best of her potential, you need to be looking to get kills with Tyrande. You need to be looking to land those stuns, looking to find them out of position with Sentinel, looking to put the Hunter's Mark on people to get them bursted down quickly. And you also want to be trying to keep your allies healed as best as possible using Light of Elune. But using Light of Elune is probably, I would say, just after landing a really good stun, and that's just the way Tyrande works. Now, depending on how you build her and how you play her, the priorities for what you do are going to change, but with Tyrande you need to be looking to secure kills, and that's very, very different from the mindset you have when you're playing an Uther, a Rhaegar, or a Malfurion. When you're playing those three characters, you're looking to keep everyone alive, whereas on Tyrande you are looking to get kills. That's how you need to play Tyrande. You can't play Tyrande on the back foot like that, trying to play defensively. You have to be pressing forward to get them, and that's a lot of thing that a lot of people don't realise. And as a result, you see very passive Tyrandes, and it feels afterwards that you never had a Tyrande in the game. Whereas if you play against an aggressive Tyrande, particularly an aggressive, very skilled Tyrande, one who can consistently land Lunafairs, it feels like you're playing with a magician on your team that from miles back can just kill someone with a Lunar Flare, which is how it should feel playing with that character. And likewise with a Tassadar. If you're playing them properly, now he's need to be played a little bit more defensively, but it can feel like, how did I survive that? Because his shield came down. How did we not get caught out because of Oracle? Stuff like that, you know. How did we deal that much damage? Because Archon can come out and deal crap tons of damage. He can play aggressively, but he plays best if you play right down the middle. Whatever your team does, you go with them. Don't look to get kills. Don't look to keep people alive as a first priority. Look to enhance what the team is doing. If the team is being aggressive and trying to secure some free damage, you shield the person at the front and put a Psionic Storm down. If the team is looking to escape, you shield them and put a Psionic Storm down and then Dimensional Shift away. If the team is dealing a massive team fight and looking to just deal crap tons of damage, you pop Archon and just go in. Like, this is what Tassadar does. He amplifies the effect of what your team is doing, whereas Tyrande creates opportunities in order to get kills. Tassadar just kind of amplifies what your team is doing. So if your team is looking to get kills, you're more likely to get kills. This is the way you need to go in with thinking of these two. Now, when you're playing Karazim, it's a very different experience, but he still needs to go in with this kind of a different mindset. And this isn't because Karazim doesn't have the healing that say Malfurion, Rhaegar, Uther, like Tassadar and Tyrande, they both lack in the healing department as far as the numbers go. Karazim doesn't really. He can keep up, but he doesn't have that significant burst healing. And the way you play him is a lot more similar to how you play Tassadar, but you can be like kind of a switch between the two. You can be passive, you can sit back and you can amplify what the team is doing. If they need healing, you can sit back and cast Breath of Heaven and just auto attack creeps. And if they're being aggressive, you can charge in and make some really, really big plays. Likewise, you can keep people alive way longer than they deserve to be kept alive, and do all kinds of other things, but you really have the option to switch between the two, and because of moves like Radiant Dash and Breath of Heaven, you really can afford to do that quite a lot. But you need to be aware of what you're doing and not look to get kills, but just look to try and... I would say as Charism, your first priority is making sure that no one on your team is alone and isolated to the point of which they're in significant danger. That's what I would say your job as Charism, and that's different from what, again, Malfurion and Rhaegar and Uther do. And I see a lot of people playing Charism like you play these characters like Uther, and they're like, well, why don't I have as much healing? It's because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Charism is an accompanying support. You need to be with people. You need to just be doing what you do with someone in range. A lot of people don't do that, and they find themselves getting caught out way too much. So those are the three. A lot of people will say that Brightwing's slightly different as well, but I would say if you play her like a defensive healer and just use your abilities to the maximum effect, you will end up getting that kind of the same effect through, if that makes sense. It's just kind of a different shift. You need to go in with the same mindset, but you need to use your abilities in a different way. And I don't think that's the very, very same when you look at Charism. You have to go in with a kind of I am only as good as the person I'm next to mindset. Tyrande, who's a I need to secure kills mindset, and Tassadar, who's a I need to do whatever my team is doing better mindset, as opposed to the other three where it's just keep everyone alive. The other five, sorry, keep everyone alive. Which is very interesting, I think. So, next up is Warriors, and now a lot of people are going to know this one straight away. I'm going to talk about the Bruisers. The Bruisers are probably in order of bruisiness: Sonya, Tyrael, Chen, Rexxar. Chen and Rexxar aren't really that bruisery, so I'm not really going to talk about them. But with the Bruisers, and particularly Sonya and Tyrael, you need to think about them in a kind of, oh, look at me, I'm difficult to kill, and I also deal a crap ton of damage when in the right positions. And as a result, you have to be aware that you're not a tank. You can't fill that we don't have a tank role. You can't do it. Like, you can play, I don't care if you're amazing at Sonya, you just can't do it. What Sonya can do is she can fulfill the CC role, she can fulfill the damage role, and she can fulfill the chase role, which is quite a number of roles that she can fill. But she doesn't have the raw damage of, say, a Thrall or an Illidan or like a Tychus. I say that because I see Tychus over there. So you have to be aware of this when you're playing these characters, and you need to go in with the mindset of I can deal damage, but I'm probably not going to be able to survive that many one-on-ones or engage fights, and most of the time I'm not going to have that much escape. Towards the end game, both of these characters have quite a bit of escape, so you can kind of plan that a little bit. But the idea is with a Bruiser is I'm not a tank. Don't go in with don't think I'm playing a warrior. I'm a tank. I can engage. You can engage, but you can't engage solo. You can't just like do what Leoric does, which is throw down a massive entomb, or what Arthas does, a big Sindragosa, like running in and casting Condemn. You can't do any of that. You'll just die and then wonder why your team isn't helping you. And you need to be kind of a situation of I can be in the front line, but I can't be alone in the front line. That's the way I like to think about it. When I'm playing these Bruisers, I go in with I can be here, I can be up in the enemy's face, I can be dealing a lot of damage, but I can't do it on my own. And a lot of people think that because they're called Warriors, they can. And that's just simply not true, and it doesn't work when you play it like that. So the best way to play these Warriors, I find, is to think about them in a more, where can I be to do the damagey role thing. The way I like to think of it is people are going to treat you as if you are a tank, but you have the damage of an assassin. So go in there with the idea of I'm a melee assassin, but I don't have any escape. It's really strange, a strange mindset, which is why you kind of develop a new mindset of I'm playing a Bruiser. But you just have to be aware of this and don't think of yourself as a warrior. Don't think of yourself as a tank. Definitely. Just be very aware of what you're doing and when you're doing it, and try and make every move count. A lot of people you can get away with some moves on like ranged assassins. On Bruisers you really can't. If you miss that whirlwind or that ancient spear, you're really going to suffer. So it's a surprisingly high skill cap when you're playing these characters. And again, if you're playing a character like Sonya, practice her. You're gonna do surprisingly badly if you don't. And once you get good at her, she feels like she's the most overpowered champ in the game. But yeah, go in there with the mindset of I'm gonna be at the front lines, but I'm not going to be alone, and I'm going to be helping out whoever's in the front lines with me. and I'm going to be able to fulfill the role of a tank if the tank dies, but I can't do the role of the tank on my own. After this we have the assassins. Now, to be fair, the assassins are all pretty much assassin-y, and I would go over the difference between like Kael'thas versus Reyna, just in terms of how you actually play them, but I'm not going to go over that too much in this video. Basically, with an assassin, you need to go in with the mindset of how that assassin plays best. Going with the I'm incredibly fragile, but I can deal a crap ton of damage if left untouched. Yeah, not really too much to say about assassins, really. None of them are too special, none of them are too crazy. Obviously, there are some auto-attack assassins, and then there are some like spellcaster assassins, and then there's just people that are in between that are different to play. So whoever you're playing, make sure you know what they can do and what they do best, and don't try and pull off any plays. You're not a tank, you're not a warrior, you're not a support. Try and be with someone at all times playing an assassin. Figure out who you synergize well with and stick with them. If you're playing the butcher, make sure you stick with your support, as you're going to take a lot of damage, and if they can land a good stun, plus your stun with the damage you could do after the stun, you can basically just kill anyone. That's providing that you're doing that on a Johanna who has all of her abilities up. Yeah, that's assassins. Learn them before you play them. Now, specialists are kind of different, and in my opinion they are I wouldn't say the worst designed, they're probably the best designed. The people you have to be most kind of careful about. You have to know them before you play them, and I think it's unfair to label a significant number of these as specialists. For instance, I'm going to talk about these three: Sylvanas, Nazeebo, Zagara. Now, I would talk about Azmodan, but I don't honestly know that much about Azmodan. Azmodan's probably my weakest champion in this game, so I don't know enough about him to warrant talking about him in particular. But if you want to and you agree with what I say, take some of this on board when you're playing Azmodan, but I'm not going to talk about Azmodan specifically. So when you're playing Sylvanas, Nazeebo, Zagara, you deal a crap ton of damage. You're similar to how you play the Bruisers, but in the response of assassins. And the trade-off for that is you have incredible pushing power. So the assassins, they have just incredible damage, really fragile. You also have good damage, incredibly fragile. Quite a lot of the time you'll have no escape. Sylvanas is obviously different. Nazeebo has kind of a zombie wall escape, and Zagara has Banelings, Hunter Killer, maybe some escape if you think about it, but not that much escape. So as a result, you're not very good on your own. Because you're a specialist, you're very rarely on your own. You have loads of minions with you, and if people attack you when you have like a place set up, this is where Gazla comes into it a little bit, you're going to be quite difficult to take down. If there's all kinds of creep spread out, you're going to be difficult to take down. If you have loads of spiders and zombies ready to cast, you're going to be quite difficult to take down with gargantuans. If you have a crap ton of minions, you're going to be quite and you have haunting waves, so you can just escape anyway. So you have to be careful, and basically when you're playing a specialist, the mindset you need to have when you're going in is, I'm good on my own, but I'm not amazing on my own. I'm good if I know this is where you need to have good, and you need to be playing a lot and knowing what you're doing. I am good when I know what my enemy is doing. You're that kind of person. So if you know, oh hey, all 5 of them are at top lane, I'm in bottom lane, let's shove, really good. Oh hey look, they're all missing, I should probably group up with my team. Oh hey look, there's a big team fight. I'm good because I'm in a good situation to be in the team fight. You are again similar to how Tassadar plays. You excel at doing what your team needs you to do, but over a wider spectrum. Tassadar's is much more focused, much more on the specific event. The specialists are much more in the wider. If you need to take a fort, you need to be the guy taking the fort. If you need to be disabling a fort when people are trying to escape from the fort, that's what you need to be doing. You need to be covering a zone while they take an aggressive mercenary camp. That's what you need to be doing. You need to be doing these kind of things, and you need to make sure that it's safe for you and your team to do so. Difficult to kind of put into words, but the way I like to go into it is, I'm an assassin, but I can also have an incredibly strong laning phase. So whenever I'm in a situation where I'm in an assassin-y role, just for a team fight or whatever, I stick behind my tank, don't do anything special. Just because I don't have assassin in my name doesn't mean it should play any differently, but outside of a team fight, I could be like, right, I can go to lane and I can deal significant damage. If they ignore me while I'm in my lane, it's going to hurt them, and hurt them quite a lot. That's how I play these characters. Obviously, there are many different ways to play them. You can play them however you want to play them, but then that's how I think you should play them, and be careful. Just because it says specialist up here, or support, or warrior, doesn't mean that you should play them exactly as you play anyone else. I wouldn't play Rexar anywhere near how I would play Johanna, and that's not because they're such different characters. They are, but it's because it's not because they're completely different roles. They are in what your team needs you to do, and they're completely different characters. Of course, one is 2 heroes or 1.5 heroes, and one is 1. But you need to have them. You need to have a different mindset when you're going in with these people, and having a different mindset of a support and a specialist and a tank is essential to understanding how you really get the most out of each character in this game, and getting the most out of each character is key to success in this game. So that's been my little talk. If you agree with me, if you disagree with me, please let me know in the comments below. I know it's a little bit weird, a little bit of a strange video. I'm going to go back to casting before long, probably going to start streaming before long as well. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I have been Mr. G, and I'll see you next time.